A Funny Taste in Music with Andrew Bird.
Hello, welcome to A Funny Taste in Music with me, Andrew Bird, comedian and love music. Brought those things together, and on this one, we've got Al Pitcher. Now, I've known Al since I started gigging. He's from New Zealand as well. It's just dawned on me in the first 4 podcasts, 2 from New Zealand. That's pretty New Zealand heavy, isn't it, for the first few? But there's a reason I've got him on. He's one of them people who sends me regular messages regarding music, and most are abusive, I've got to say. Most will be saying how shit he thinks Oasis are, and that's why he's on here. There's no point getting people on you're just going to agree with, is there? So we have a running tit-for-tat battle about how much I love Oasis, how much he hates Oasis. I think he just hates them just to annoy me. But he's one of them mates. You know, you got a mate who you see a text from them and you get this little bit of excitement where you think, oh, this is going to be abusive, probably offensive on a lot of levels. And these texts are going to go back and forward for a good hour, and we're both going to say horrendous things that if ever read out deadpan in a court of law, we could get in a lot of trouble for. He's one of those people. So this should be good fun. Looking forward to talking to him. He's a massive, massive U2 fan. I'm not that much of a U2 fan. Let's see if he can turn me round by the end of this. You shouldn't have to if you're a U2 fan and you immediately hate me now and you've stopped playing this podcast. This was a mistake to mention in the intro. I realise that now. But it's going to be a good fun chat. Hope you enjoy it. Don't forget in the description of the podcast, it's got a Spotify playlist. Just click on that and it'll have the songs or a song from an album that's mentioned during this podcast. Hope you enjoy it. Looking forward to talking to Al. Here we go.
A Funny Taste in Music. The interview next.
You're a bit quiet for me.
Well, that's probably your fault, not mine. I've got an expensive mic, mate. I invested.
Nice welcome.
It's not Good Morning Britain.
All right, Piers. Right, I need to snap out of being an idiot and take some of this seriously.
What? Why is that?
I
You don't have to.
absolutely got a tendency to hijack this and ruin the whole thing.
Yeah. What, you didn't think I considered you driving this into the ground? I'm well aware that's going to happen.
No.
And this is only like the 4th one. I feel I'm trying to, start to set some kind of level of what it is, and you're about to undermine that.
Who yet?
Completely.
Who
I'm
else you had
comfortable
on?
with that. Jared Christmas, which I've just realised out of 4 people now, that's two people from New Zealand. This is pretty New Zealand heavy early doors, isn't it?
I was born in England, so that's fine. Is this happening now? Are we on or?
Yeah, I'm recording.
Yes.
Or is this how you do it? Is it one of these like really casual? You just started up.
Yeah.
Oh, mate.
Yeah. Or, all right, we'll start it like this then. Al Pitcher, talk about music in a funny, interesting way for 40 minutes to an hour. Go.
Music has been my passion.
Yeah. All right. So I wanted to talk to you on this. One of the first people I thought of, because you are one of the. There's a few people I have that send me regular messages about music, and you're one of them. You more than most. Most of yours are abusive. Some are, just about music. Most are abusive.
Towards you.
I remember when I hadn't spoke to you for about 8 months at one point, and you sent me a message that just said BDI a piss, and that was it. From nowhere. We should establish we have a constant tit-for-tat battle over my unwavering love of Oasis and your massive love of U2.
I think unwavering is a beautiful term, mate.
Thanks, mate.
No, it's not yours. It's hack. But I just think there's so many times I've seen U2 do stuff that I'm not proud of, but that unwavering feeling I just go, I've got to defend them. I've got to defend them. And
Yeah.
I do. And I'm 48 now. I should just give it up, you know.
No,
but like,
no, you.
mate, like, U2 brought out like Joshua Tree, Achtung Baby, and then in one of the albums they did recently, they had a song called "Get on Your Boots, Put on Your Sexy Boots," and it was horrific. It was a disaster, but I still defended it.
Yeah. Now I wish I'd heard that now and sent you an abusive message.
But Oasis,
Yeah,
Oasis have made
Yeah.
a lot of, I would say, big mistakes.
So you're saying it nicely on here, are you? Yeah, and you've messaged me about most of them, and I'm the same. I'll defend them. Like the thing that I'll defend the most is what pisses me off about people who slag off Oasis is they all say every Oasis song sounds the same. I tell you what sounds the same: people that slag off Oasis, because they all say that bullshit. Doesn't all sound the same. Listen to Half the World Away and then Supersonic back to back. They do not sound the same, but
Listen to the Beatles
did.
and Oasis back to back, and then you've got a bloody problem. Am I allowed to swear on it? Yeah, you got a bloody problem, mate. But I don't. Who do you think's had the better career, solo career, Liam or Noel? Whose podcast is this?
Yeah,
Go on, answer that
point.
question.
it's a good question though. I reckon probably still Noel. Liam's is probably doing better now, but I tell you one thing I will say about Liam and Noel Gallagher is that you are allowed. This is weird. A lot of people, I don't think they know this. You are allowed to like both of them. I don't think everyone knows. You sent me a message. I still remember this message you sent me. I mean, if you scroll back through my Facebook messages from you,
Yeah.
it's good reading. One of them was something about, I remember it, something about Noel and Liam. And I said, I like them both, mate. And then you said, yeah, but to get them to reform, which one would you suck off if you had to?
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's the level that you sent me. But
I think it was
I
a misspelling there. I think it was chuck off the tour bus.
Oh, all right. The autocorrect did not pick up on that. No, I think Noel Gallagher's albums, like I really like them both, but I don't know what it is. With Noel Gallagher's songs, I sort of believe him a bit more. Some of Liam's, it feels like he's singing them well and that. But did he write that? Does he know what it's about?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? With Noel's, you can imagine it really pouring out of his brain, and that's why he's singing it. I don't know,
But-
I like them both.
I saw Noel Gallagher and the high flying Hymens or whatever they're called at supporting U2 as it should be at Croke Park in Ireland. So technically that's okay.
Did you fly from Sweden specifically for that,
Yes,
or
I
were you
did,
in
yeah.
Ireland?
Yes, I did.
Wow, you're one of them proper all-round Europe fans. I was kind of like that with Oasis when I was younger and single.
Yeah.
I'd go everywhere to go and see. I went to Leeds just for one day, Leeds Festival. But you flew from Sweden to Croke Park for the gig.
Yeah, I went to
What were they
Dublin
like?
Airport first. But
Yeah.
I went to the big one I've done is Boston. I went to Boston to see them on the Joshua Tree tour.
Well, hang on, specifically to see them.
Yeah. Yeah. And,
Jesus Christ.
well, he is. Yes, you're right. I actually, it's a weird one for me because I kind of love the concerts, but I'm also watching them and laughing. I find them very funny. But like,
Really? What way?
here's the thing with like Noel for me, right? When I saw Noel, he's doing Wonderwall, he's doing Champagne Supernova, it ain't hitting for me, mate. It ain't hitting for me. And then I saw Liam in Stockholm, and there was this absolute euphoria about it as well. You know, it was also February this year, which doesn't seem right, but you know,
No.
and he, you know, they do the Stone Roses build up before, like he plays one of the songs, and people are on there on each other's shoulders. It was chaos. It was proper. Yeah, all right, mate. You know, that kind of carry on, and and he was great, but I think he's better as a solo artist. So you have to start deciding that question very, very soon if you want them to reform.
I don't want them to reform. That's the thing as well. I've seen them. Yeah, you heard. As you know, massive Oasis. Right. What's the Story was released the day before my 15th birthday. It's like I had no other choice. They were made for me to love them.
Did you ever?
They're part of my identity,
Blur?
Al.
Do you think about
Blur are good. They're really good. But they just didn't. I don't know. They just didn't. You know, Oasis was singing, "You need to be yourself. You can't be no one else." I don't know why that's all I needed to know at 15. Is you can have it all. How much do you want it? I do want it, Noel. I do, especially when you sing it, Liam. But I liked Blur. I think I was probably listening to Blur stuff before Oasis, but then once I was into Oasis, that was it. But yeah, Liam, that's what was so great about Oasis. Noel's songs, Liam's I don't even know how you describe
Antics.
it, but yes. But the absolute force he sings those songs with, you can't fake that. You can't fake it. But when you saw, what did you think of the High Flying Birds then when you saw them, his own stuff? Did you like his own stuff? When they supported U2?
No, I actually walked on to one of his songs on a tour.
I thought you were going to say you walked on while he was on in Croke Park and just went, prefer Liam, mate.
No,
Prefer what Liam's doing right now.
No, I walked onto one of his songs. I can't remember what it was, but it's the only one that I kind of like of his. I really struggle with. I think he's gone a bit too psychedelic for me, mate.
Really?
Yeah.
See, that's the thing that people slag off Oasis, that all their stuff sounds the same. And now he's starting to sound a bit more different. People are slagging him off for that. What can the man do?
But Liam has gone a bit ballady, hasn't he?
Yeah. He's got a new song out literally in the last few days.
Mate,
I'd say is a bit.
You need to have a word there.
I don't know him personally, but
brutal, mate. It's brutal.
It sounds a bit. What's he called? Blue Eyes. Old Blue Eyes. Frank Sinatra. Sounds a bit. It's got a bit swing band for me, but
I wouldn't have said that. It was more Robbie Williams for me.
That hurts a lot more. I really liked. I like all of his solo stuff, but yeah, I've got to say, I like the first BDI album, the second one, and bear in mind how much I love Oasis. I've got to admit, I gave it 3 listens, and I thought this should not be this hard work to listen to an album.
Yeah, that's tough, isn't it? When your heroes produce shite,
yeah,
and you have to. Do you still get excited when they release stuff? Then,
well, when Oasis albums, because they used to take so long, they'd be every 3 or 4 years by the last couple, and there'd be a really long build up, like a year before they'd be going new Oasis album. I'd be like, I'd be like really getting into it.
Yeah.
And it's different now because you don't even notice stuff's out now. Just like a song will be on YouTube. That's how you know a new album's out. It was, you know. But when there's a new Liam Gallagher album out, I'm like, well, I'm definitely getting it. And I want to listen to, like, the last one was brilliant as well. The 32 been excellent. The last one was really good.
With once on it. Once. That ruined it for me, that part of the song. I loved all...
Oh, the The bit in the middle. Once.
Yeah,
That bit in the middle.
I hated it.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Do some knob gags, get
Video's
off.
good.
You know,
You are?
do some knob gags, get off.
He's doing a song and an album. It's not a Jonglers gig. But I did like both of those albums, but I do look forward to it more when a Noel album's coming out.
Wow.
I don't know why. I count the days for that album. It's like Christmas coming up. That's how. Do you like that with U2 albums? Do you look forward to them coming out, or do you just sort of vague? Do you still buy albums, or you Spotify?
I iTunes it, mate.
Oh.
What I will do is I'll try and find, if it gets leaked, I'll have a listen and then I'll buy it. I used to buy everything, and like I had all the Joshua Tree singles, I had all the Unforgettable Fire singles and B-sides and everything. Used to get a bit drunk, come home and play them and scratch the shit out of them. So they're not worth anything. We know that now.
Yeah.
And I also used to walk like Bono. I used to like talk like him almost. Like he's been a massive influence on my life. And a lot of people say he's a twat. He does do things where I'm like, oh mate, what have you done that for? Like the album that went on the phones, you know, that did not help them at all. You know, when they put it straight onto Apple iPhones. You don't remember that,
I remember that one. I do remember that. There was a song on it, something Crashing Waves or something.
Every Breaking Wave.
Every Breaking Wave. That is a hell of a song.
Thank you. Tell them that.
You take credit for them as well.
Are we having a competition here?
I do that. Someone goes, I love that new Noel Gallagher song. I'm like, thank you.
Yeah, so there's aspects of it where I cringe, but I don't know. I think and they probably do this on Spotify and iTunes, don't they? They probably tell you what you listen to the most, you know. But I'm an anti-factor, so I don't look at stats. I'm in the moment. But I probably would say that U2 are still my number one listen. I've got a lot of bootlegs though, you know?
Yeah. Well, when did because here's the thing. It's funny to slag off when you know someone loves a band so much. That's what you do with me. You know how much I love Oasis, so that's why it's enjoyable to slag them off.
Well, do you know how
with
much
U2,
how much for me with you is I would love Oasis to reunite and produce an absolute shit song, because it would just, I know we're in weird times. In the middle of a pandemic, they get back together and they release a song. I'd be all over it. I'd be all over you. You'd probably block me on social media. I would love it.
I know you would. I'd be a shark feeding frenzy for you. I would. No, I don't think I would block you. I'd miss it. I would miss the abuse. I don't want them to get back together. People keep going on about it. I've seen them, saw them quite a few times, loads of different places, different venues. Bloody love them. I didn't. And now I feel like you get a good Liam Gallagher album and a good Noel Gallagher album, so you're getting two albums for the price of one. Whereas what you'd get for Oasis was together would be a mix of both of those albums. That would be a bit clunky. Gear changes all over the place. So now you're getting
their
best
hatred
of
for
both.
each other has continued, or do you think it's a media thing?
No, I reckon that's probably pretty real. But then that's the thing as well, is any opinion that they've got, I completely agree with. And then they go back on their opinions. You've probably got the same with Bono, and you go, oh, hang on, that was. I've thought that now for years because you thought it, and now you're saying you don't think it anymore. Well, where does that leave me?
Absolutely.
Like when they were slagging off Blur, I didn't like hate Blur, but I was like, yeah, bloody middle class posh boys, bloody
Yeah.
agreeing with all of it. And then they go, no, they're good, they're all right actually, they're all right. And I'm like, oh, what am I going to do with that now? And like Noel Gallagher said about how any band who has music on an advert is shameful, and I was like, yeah. And then he had that Half the World Away on their M&S advert the other year, wasn't it?
Oh, did he? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I was like, well, what am I supposed to do that? You know.
And he also sided.
Do you know how much that song meant to me? You've just diminished it.
He also very much sided with like politics. He went with Tony Blair and stuff, didn't he? No.
Yeah, but I think you can't blame him completely for that. Everyone kind of did that at the time. Everyone thought, things were going to be pretty good, and then
No, it's just
happened.
you two not being political and stuff like that, So
yeah, they do tend to keep their nose out of it, don't they?
Yeah, but
keep to the business.
I mean, I'm sometimes wanting. I wonder what he thinks of this. I wonder what he thinks.
Yeah,
and I mean that's always been a bit strange. But actually, Noel and Bono get on very, very well.
As much as music, I like listening to Noel Gallagher's interviews. I think he's made me laugh as much as like a lot of comedians do. He's proper funny. He's well funny. There's a bit where he's years and years ago, he was talking to Chris Evans, and he was talking about Michael Jackson when he did at the Brits. He did the thing passing himself off as Jesus.
Oh, yeah.
Like a holy figure during a song with his arms out and kids all around him. And Noel Gallagher said, for him to come over here after what's happened and act like he's some kind of Christ figure, he says, who does he think he is? Me? Brilliant. Well funny, but he tells really good stories, Noel Gallagher. And he told a really funny one about Bono when they were supporting him. He was at a party at Bono's house and was like, they were up till like 4 a.m, hammered, woke up, and Bono comes in and goes, right, I'm throwing a lunch for you. And there's like loads of people there. There's like loads of like massive famous people there, like, politicians and everyone.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, all right. Gets up and they get hammered again, drinking all day. And then they're supposed to go to France or something that day for a gig the following night. And Bono goes, right, don't worry about the plane. We'll just get a private jet, fly over. And Noel said he was in a hotel room, like absolutely destroyed after 2 days non-stop. Turns on the telly and Bono is on the telly with the like French president doing an interview about famine in Africa. And Noel's in bits in the bed, can barely move. Oh, I thought that was good. That made me like Bono, I've got to admit. But what's your because apparently you two, like all of them in the band, are really funny and a good laugh. My problem with you, with the thing with you two is they're clearly a good band. Not saying they're not. Clearly brilliant band, right? It's just like what you just said about Noel's songs just not hitting you. I've got that with you too, that they just, I don't know what it is. And then there's the thing of the, all the preachy stuff. And then there's the thing of the not paying tax. That's the thing they get slammed for a lot. What do you think about that?
Yeah.
Do you stick up for them for that?
No. But
Gary Barlow did it. It's all right.
Yeah. That's... Yeah, there's some things that are not... You can't defend, Yeah. And I think that's clearly one of them. And that's what I mean about making these mistakes where someone should just pull them aside and say, don't do that. Do you know what I mean? It's like, a great showbiz friend of mine, Stephen Williams, Welsh. He's a magician as well. But he used to have a bit of stand-up about, I think Bono went in front of the Senate and was talking about terrorism. And he said, the way to beat terrorism is to make them laugh. So he was saying, like, we should send like Amy Schumer and Chris Rock over and they should do a gig for the Taliban. And like nobody's kind of, and then I think Williams went a bit racist, but But there's nobody pulling.
That's how he always takes it.
Exactly. Then he does a magic trick, gets off, and he's off in the taxi. You don't see him again.
Yeah.
But I find that he just makes these mistakes all the time. You know, these kind of, if something happens, like during COVID and all that, he recorded himself singing a song for Italy, and he clearly hadn't thought the song through. It was just him singing into his phone. But because he's such a mega star, people go, "Oh, of course, twat," you know, like. So Live Aid, all those kind of things. Where I actually do think, I mean, we get criticism as doing stand-up comedy, but the amount of shit he must get. I mean, he must be up there, as one of the most disliked people.
He's one of them easy, as a comedian, go-to examples of someone to slag off on stage and get an instant, everyone will agree and go, "Ugh,"
Yeah.
like that. I think you've described it well. He just doesn't help himself. I bet if you met him, he's a right laugh. Like Noel Gallagher said, he's up drinking till like 5, 6 in the morning. He's hilarious.
Well,
But he just, the glasses and the name don't help.
yeah, but the glasses is like he's got like disease. He has to wear them because he kind of, his eyes get a bit funny.
He says that. They say that in the cinema, don't
But
they?
he gave
3D films.
he gave sunglasses to the Pope.
Did he?
Yeah, I think he should have thought that through. One story that
Quite
kind
like
of
that one.
reminds me of him. Not that he's dead, but they did a gig in San Francisco, and it was a Save the Yuppie concert, right? It was a tongue-in-cheek concert, free concert, because the share market had crashed. It was like around 87, around that time.
Right.
They did this kind of, they just got the band together and they did this. It's on the Rattle and Hum movie, actually, which was another thing they shouldn't have done. And he goes out and he's singing, and I think they're doing Sunday Bloody Sunday. And then I think it was around the time when the bombing of Enniskillen happened, and it was IRA, and someone was holding a sign up and it said SF loves you too. Now Bono, he's halfway through the song and he goes, SF? Is that what you mean? SF loves you too? Sinn Féin, right? And this guy's obviously holding the thing up saying it's San Francisco, like that. And Bono's like, you think we like terrorism? Sinn Féin, the Irish Republic? And he just slams this guy. This poor guy is just holding this bloody banner that he's made at home. So he does all those kind of things, and I think...
Was the edge going, Bono?
Well,
Bono.
Yeah. I mean, the drummer, Larry, is very straight lines, middle of the road. And I think he gets very embarrassed by Bono's lack of thought sometimes,
Yeah.
But they are an amazing band live as well. They're fantastic. They really put on a show,
I hear this. That's what a lot of people say. Anyone who slags off U2, once you've seen them live, that sort of just goes out the window. You have to go, fuck, all right. How many times have you seen them? Boston,
I reckon
Croke Park. They're too far-flung, dedicated gigs.
50 times? 50 or 60?
Jesus Christ, really?
Yeah. Well, the Elevation tour, I followed them around the UK. And they were playing like 3 or 4 nights in arenas.
What year was that?
2004? 2001, sorry.
Hang on, 2001?
Yeah.
You've just moved to... How long have you been in England then?
A couple of years.
Right, so you're doing paid tens?
Well, no, I was penciled in.
You did. You got You got some
Mate, I was
sevens to
basically
tens.
going to Plymouth
Yeah,
for
heavy pencil.
for £30, and I was having to pay my train fare, and that was more than the gig. And
Yeah.
I was never one of those comedians who would look at the money, and some people would go, right, petrol, I'll need a sandwich, and then I need the bus fare. I'm making £7. I'd never thought of it like that. I just thought it's a time for. I just need to go on stage. You know, I'm not egotistical. I don't need to be on stage, but it was very much like that. You know.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. My wife will go, how much are you going to make after this? I'm like, I'll be doing a gig and it's an Audi shop. All right, let's think of it like that. But at the time when I was doing those gigs, driving to Plymouth for £30,
Yeah.
I didn't then on my night off think I'll spend £70 on a U2 ticket and go and see them. How were you affording to go around the country?
I was working at like Ticketmaster around that stage.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So you were did you get discounted tickets?
Not
Ticketmaster?
discounted, but when they went on sale, I could get them. You know.
Right. Right. Are you saying that? I mean, if you stole tickets, we could cut that out.
Didn't steal them. Paid for them. Absolutely paid for them.
You can't get sacked in retrospect.
Paid for them. Absolutely paid for them. Worked at the Brit Awards, and
Did you?
for Ticketmaster, where when the famous people come through the door, you give them a map of where their seat is, and U2 were on that day, and I saw them rehearse, and that was a buzz. Met Bono twice. Once in New Zealand, when they got off the plane. It was quite dark. He had sunglasses on. He did the whole peace sign as he came down the steps, nearly fell down the steps. And then
This is all classic Bono.
then they got in the cars as they were coming through the gate. And this is like New Zealand, Christchurch, you know, like probably had to get his own bags and shit like that. You know, hobbits weren't working then. Topical. And then they come through the car. They come in the car. He gets out, jumps on the back of someone else's car in a car park. He can do that. He's a rock star. And my girlfriend sits next to him. And I'm like, wow, this is amazing. This is the greatest love triangle I've ever been involved in. Then I give him a envelope which has got like printed telephones on it. Like, I think it's for a phone bill. You'd think it was, wouldn't you? I give it to him, and he looks at it. He goes, "Very Andy Warhol, very Andy Warhol." And I did not know who the shitting hell Andy Warhol was. And I just went, "Yeah, Bono, yeah, mate," like that. And then I met him again in London, and they were doing a new book, you know, because they needed the cash and shit. And you had to queue up. I was there at 6 a.m. queuing up, right? And then the website, u2.com, went up and down the queue, up and down the line, interviewing people. And then it turned out that they found out I was a comedian. Don't know how they found out about that, right? So then they go, "Oh, right, so you're the comedian. What do you think of U2?" And I go, I've actually got this joke about U2, where on the start of Vertigo, Bono goes, "Uno, dos, tres, catorce," which in Spanish is 1, 2, 3, 14. So obviously Bono can't count. So maybe there isn't a problem in Africa. Maybe Bono is just miscounted. I mean, it's died in this pod. I'll be honest with you. You haven't laughed once at that joke.
There's a live audience here as well. They've given nothing.
Yeah.
You can't see them.
I'll be honest with you, mate. It died in the queue. Like, the camera guy was just like, "What have you done that for, you absolute knob?" Like, and then I met him, but he didn't know about it. But interestingly,
What did you say to him? Fucking hell, it's a tough queue.
I was like,
Just died in that queue.
mate, thank goodness I'm
What wanna
doubling,
go on now?
I'm doubling up with Waterstones. But then here's a weird thing. As I was coming up in the queue, they said, this guy's a stand-up comedian. And Bono goes, great, man. We might have a song on the new album called Stand-Up Comedy. And I kind of feel, this is weird, that song was for me. And then when I went to meet him, he put up his hand and I put out my fist as for and it went
You went for a
horribly,
fist bump
horribly
with Bono?
wrong. I just ended up holding his finger. I'm not joking you.
Like a child, you're trying to get out of a play park.
Yeah, it was an absolute disaster.
Was it a split-second decision in your brain where you went fist bump? That feels right. You haven't planned it. You haven't thought, he doesn't look like a fist bump kind of guy to me.
It ended up
it
where
panic?
I fist bump, and then I kind of, he put out his hand. I'm holding his finger, and then it was all in a split second. But I've gone up. I'm holding the bottom of his arm, like his elbow bit, and then I go, I was like, can I have a hug? And I just hugged him.
Wow.
And you know what? He smelled beautiful.
I think once you've held his finger, grabbed under his arm like a pensioner you're trying to help across the road and then insisted on a hug, if he heard you breathe in deeply and go, oh, that's all he needs.
Mate,
He gave a signal to security at that moment, you know that?
no, his skin was beautiful as well. I might have to go soon.
Really?
Might have to go soon. This is really turning me on. No, it was his skin. He's obviously on some good soap. That's all I remember.
It's on some good soap. It's on Illuminati oils.
And
Is what he's probably on.
he probably washes himself with tax money. And I met Liam Gallagher. Thanks for asking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know what? I've met Noel as well. This is a bit weird.
Didn't you meet Noel with Jared?
No, Jared.
Did you meet? No.
Jared met him on his own. When I say I met Noel was having a argument with, was it Meg Matthews? Was he married to her?
Yeah. Yeah.
On Old Street. They were just in a doorway and they were kind of shouting at each other. And people were walking past and they had their heads down. And I sort of just saw who it was. And I said to my wife and her friend, I went, it's Noel Gallagher, like that. And they kind of stopped arguing and they were like, dickhead, and then just carried on. And I remember going, why did I, like where sometimes you see famous people and you can't stop.
Yeah.
Like you're like, oh, MC Hammer.
It's like you have to confirm it with your own brain out loud, don't you?
I think famous people must, like I'm good mates with Russell Howard, and when you walk around like town with him, there's people.
Yeah.
You see people walking towards him, their eyes kind of light up, and then you can hear them behind you going, that's Russell Howard, that's Russell Howard.
Yeah. Weird, isn't it? Must be weird. Do you remember when I'll never forget, we used to play football on a Tuesday, and me, you, Russell, Jared, that was good. Got a few other people. Mickey Flanagan used to play.
Yeah.
And we were playing, and then a local school, it's in Crystal Palace. So a local school had their school football on the pitch near us, and they had to walk past us while we were playing. So all these 14-year-old kids walking past, and Russell's playing, and they'll go, "Is that one off Mock the Week, bruv? Is that one off Mock the Week, man?" And he's got to take selfies with loads of kids in front of 20 comedians. That must have been horrific.
Yeah.
He's having selfies with kids in front of all of us. And Daniel Kitson shouting at them, I want the fucking Perrier, you ignorant little fox.
I also remember
But
a penalty shootout. Do you remember that one? When
yeah,
Steve Williams took his clothes off, his shorts off?
yeah, to put off Frisbee.
Yeah.
He was taking the penalty. So
The guy's
Stevie
called Dom
psyched him out.
Frisbee, he didn't throw a Frisbee. But yeah.
Yeah, Dominic Frisbee was taking a penalty. Stevie Williams stripped completely naked to get in his head. And what did Frisbee do to that?
And then the school kids were still there watching. No, not the political. I'm thinking of Don Frisbee. They were doing construction. The construction workers were going, "Hey, oi, Terry, there's a penalty shootout. Come down here, mate." And they all were watching. And then he took his trousers off, and they were like, they just didn't say anything after that.
Oh, yeah, there was a good probably 15 of them leant over scaffolding, like a small stadium, watching. Going, penalty shootout just grabs your attention, doesn't it? We'll just watch this for a minute. Steve probably shorts out with his cock and balls flapping around in goal, and then Frisbee stripped as well. Do you remember?
Yes, he did.
And then he took the penalty naked, scored. Stevie's like rolling on the floor, balls flapping around. Dominic's running around with his balls flapping around naked, trying to hug people. People are running away. And I just see these 20 builders just turn around and go, that's enough. Just walked away. They just went back to work.
Smoko, Terry, Smoko. But for me, it was, because you always think, I wonder what happens to their bits when they're in a penalty shootout. As a goalkeeper, I wonder if when they dive left, they go the as you quoted by Andrew Bird, the cock and balls, do they go that way as well? So for me, it was it was scientific as well as being absolutely disgusting.
So you were looking at it going, on a physics point of view, this is interesting.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah,
as he dived, his balls sort of went the other way.
Yeah. Sent the testes.
They soon
the wrong
caught
way.
up. They soon...
But
So you were talking about how weird it is being recognised. That must be horrible being that famous a musician. There's nothing worse than having a domestic in public to the point you don't give a shit you're in public and you're just arguing. I've had them.
Oof.
Someone will walk past and just goes, "No, Gallagher." That would be pretty shit. That would.
But it was like, it just sort of, like sometimes you see like somebody's about to like bang their head on a cupboard or something, but you can't say it. It's that same feeling. You want to go, cupboard, but you don't. And they go, and you go, I was going to say cupboard, bit of observational for you there. We can cut that bit out.
Yeah.
But,
so you saw the foundations of their marriage crumbling. So when you saw that the divorce announced in the papers, you were like, yeah, saw that coming.
Yeah, but I sort of think I may have played a factor in it as well. Like U2 in the stand-up comedy song, going, Noel Gallagher, she might have gone, that's what it's all about, isn't it? That's anybody any cares. They don't care for me. They just care for you. And then the divorce came a few weeks later.
That was the moment of realisation she needed.
And then Liam Gallagher.
From New Zealand walking past.
This should have been the podcast, Al Pitcher Meets People. Liam Gallagher, I met I was doing my picture show, which, as one of my peers, you recognise as one of the greatest shows ever done. No. What it was I took photos where I was, and then I showed the photos on a screen, and then I improvised the whole show about the photos.
What I said to you recently is you would be really funny about photos you've taken that day. This was, what year was that? 2010 or something?
2008, 2009, yeah.
So this is pre-Twitter and Facebook, really. So you kind of invented Twitter and Facebook in a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're doing that show.
3 stars, chortle. Yeah. I caught me on a bad night, Bennett, you bastard.
It read like a 4. He ain't giving you 4.
He ain't giving me 4. Really don't like that guy. So I'm doing my show at the King's Head. I'm walking around with a Canon, not a gun, a Canon camera, like DSLR camera. And then Liam's in there, and the pub's just opened. Must have been about 1 o'clock for lunch and stuff. And Liam's in there drinking. So I walk in.
The King's Head? Crouch End?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I walk in with this camera, and I'm with Paul Byrne, who's helping me with the show. And he thinks you're paparazzi, right? So I go over to him and I go, mate, I'm a comedian. I'm just doing a show where I take photos. I'm not a paparazzi. And he goes, show me, like this, right? And then I go, do you mind if I take a photo of you? And he's like, oh, all right, mate, sound. Go to take it. The flash doesn't work. It's too dark in the room. So I said, I'm sorry to be a pain, but this will be an amazing part of the show. Could you come outside? So already, and knowing famous people, I know how absolutely irritating this would be, right?
Yeah.
So he goes outside. Paul Byrne's got the camera. I'm there with Noel. We're just about to take a photo. Random woman walks past, just a woman, and goes, hey, it's him. It's the singer. And I go, yeah, all right, love. Liam goes, join in, love. So she joins in the photo, right? So now I've got a photo of this amazing moment. I think Liam Gallagher is a great singer, of me and this random woman. And I've tried to crop her out, but her arm is always in it. So I always have to explain about the random woman. Yeah.
I think that makes it better. That was in the show, surely. And your anger at this woman just getting involved.
And I said, don't look back in anger.
Oh, lovely. Good work.
Thank you.
To be fair, you did. I can't believe you made him go outside.
Yeah. When I think about it now, it was...
Yeah. You're lucky you got a photo of him.
Yeah, true.
To be fair.
True.
But I am... hang on. So you two, you've seen them 50 times.
Yep.
Right. Can you remember the first time you saw them? Where was that?
It was the Love Town tour, 1989. And it was in Auckland, New Zealand. And it was with B.B. King. And B.B. King played for about an hour before and bored the shit out of me. And then U2 came on, and they were all like cowboy hats and all that carry on, that. Proper
boots and mullets.
Yeah, all that stuff. And they brought up a guy from the audience who, this is all pre-internet, so anything you see, you didn't know their set lists. I look at their set list. I follow, when they're on tour, I listen to like a mixer in the gig. That's how much of a fan I am, right?
Wow, yeah.
So for me, it was just, there was pre-internet, so I didn't know what they were going to play, and it just blew my mind. And I remember all my mates were like smoking the old wacky backy, and I was like, "Nah, I'm gonna, you know." I was only like 16, 17, but I was like, "Nah, I'm gonna go this one sober." And I just remember it was just such an experience for me.
I remember doing that, giving up drinking at gigs. I stopped drinking while I was still drinking. I stopped drinking at gigs because it gets to the point where you're watching it and going, "Oh, I could just run out between these two songs and get a drink."
Yeah.
And you think, why am I doing that? Well, I can drink any time. Why am I doing that? So even at that young age, you thought, first time you've seen U2, you don't want to be stoned for that, do you? You want to be
Well, yeah, and
completely remember it.
I saw U2 on they did a Stop Sellafield gig at the G Mix in Manchester. It was called the G Mix then. And
Yeah.
I went over to Manchester. The tickets were £5. And they went on
It's in the 70s. £5.
Yeah, it was all like a donation thing. It was like they just called the gig like about 2 weeks before. They were going to do Stop Sellafield, like the nuclear plant. And they went over the next day in like, Breaking Bad suits and all that kind of stuff, and took photos on the thing. But they went on stage at midnight and I was there with a load of mates and I didn't drink. And Public Enemy supported, Big Audio Dynamite were on as well, and Kraftwerk. And,
Right.
you got to watch Kraftwerk, don't you? But they just
Yeah.
sat at the back of the thing, just drinking in another room, not even listening,
What's the point of that? You can drink any night of the week. How often do you get to see Kraftwerk? Even if it's shit, you're still saying I've seen Kraftwerk. You've got to watch them. They're great.
Yeah. So, that's been, I mean, I don't drink now, but that was one of my big things was going to these concerts and just going, I spent all this money. I don't want to be like vomiting in the corner,
Yeah, and not even remember it.
But to be honest, that only applies for U2.
Yeah.
When I went to other gigs, I got a bit drunk. REM, I got really drunk at Western Springs in front of 75,000 people. Got up on stage, didn't I?
But really?
Yeah, they were pushing people forward, and it was just all scaffolding underneath. And I was really drunk, and I jumped on the scaffolding, and I ended up getting up, and some guy tried to grab my foot to stop me, the security guy. And I was just on stage with Michael Stipe, man. Really drunk. And then I just went down on my knees and said, I'm not worthy. I really regret that as well. Wish I'd done something better. And then I sobered up massively when they took me backstage and the local security wanted to beat me up, but the American security was saying, no, how the hell did this happen? And then they kicked me out and let me back into the concert. Hashtag true story. And Crowded House supported.
You saw Crowded House support REM?
Yeah.
Wow, what a gig. What a gig.
Yeah,
Your meeting people stories, when you're saying about shaking hands with Bono and holding his finger,
Yeah.
I kind of get that. And the fist bump. I met Neil Finn just the other week. Another text from you, another message where you said about the Everyone Is Here album, the Finn brothers.
Superb album, Birdie.
What an album, yeah. I was going to say to you, I worked in the pub, the Bedford, in Balham, South London.
Mm.
Brilliant music venue. They did a Radio 2 competition. A band play live on Radio 2. It's just Radio 2 competition winners are there. It's a small audience.
Yeah.
They did that in the pub to about 80 people. And it's kind of where me and Katka, my now wife, we sort of bumped into each other there. She worked in the pub, so did I. We thought, well, getting the night off, I'm going to watch that. And saw each other at the back of the room and went, oh, do you like Crowded House, do you? And so watched them there. Unbelievable. They were like they're proper funny as well. Neil Finn and Tim Finn are really funny.
Yeah.
And they're cracking jokes, telling funny stories. Halfway through going, hang on, I've got your guitar on here. And then swapping guitars and stuff. Oh, I loved it. And then after they're upstairs, and I knew where the dressing room was, and they just sat like up right at the top of the pub in a bit, it's not inside a room. It's just out on a sort of landing bit on a balcony.
Yeah.
And I just thought, well, I work in the pub. I can walk where I want. So I just walked up there and went straight up to Neil Finn. And all I planned to say to him, right, all I was going to say was, all right, Neil, I work in this pub, and after work, quite a lot of Aussies and Kiwis get drunk and we sing Crowded House songs. Yeah, love them, yeah. Nice to meet you. All right, take care, love the gig, bye. And I don't know what happened. I went to pieces and I shook his hand, I think, 4 times. I think it was 4 times I shook his hand and just went, I work in the pub and I shook his hand 4 times. I remember his wife was sat next to him and she started edging away and glancing around to think, well, someone needs to come and sort this out. This can't carry on. And then I walked off and went and sat in a room somewhere on my own for probably 40 minutes going, what was that? What happened there? What was that?
Yeah. Because
That's horrific.
It can be euphoric though, can it? That feeling. And you don't want to be, because you're such a fan.
The annoying dick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't want to be the usual thing that, you must always get this, you know?
But not me. I'm different.
So you end up like going over the top, you know? Like, yeah, it's that same feeling when you check in at the airport. Remember those things at airports? And you go, they go, have a good flight. And you go, yeah, same to you, or something like that. You go, oh, God. You know?
Yeah.
Or you get a haircut and you go, yeah, I'll give you one as well. Yeah.
So 50 times you've seen U2. You that was the first.
Yeah.
Have you got a favourite? Surely you can't have out of all of them. Croke Park must have been amazing, wasn't it?
Croke Park was.
Where's the weirdest place? Where's the weirdest place you've seen U2?
The Croke Park one was great because when they did Where the Streets Have No Name, they'd organised for the Irish Air Force. It might have been the French Air Force, actually, to do a flyover with the Irish flag over the top of the stadium.
Imagine that meeting. Well, what we doing with the lights on this gig? Have we got any new ideas for lighting? I'm thinking flyover, Bono. No, I know people. Let's go flyover, Bono. Come on.
Well, it's the kind of gigs that you run, isn't it? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Down by Heathrow and stuff.
Yeah.
No, I think the best. I think they did Pop Mart. I saw that in Sydney, and Michael Hutchins had died, and they sang one for him, and then they played In Excess, You'll Never Tear Us Apart, and they turned off all the lights, and there was thunder and lightning. It was amazing, like really amazing.
Way. Yeah, that would have been good.
I saw them. My wife put me in a competition to win tickets to see them play the Astoria, which was only like 500 people. Remember that, the Astoria?
Yeah.
And she drew a drawing of the band, and I was really, really ill. I took this phone call, and the guy goes, "You've won 2 tickets." And I was like, wow, like unbelievable news, And like Salman Rushdie was there, Roy Keane, all the big names, and that was incredible. That was proper, like you're watching them in just a small hall, But yeah, I think
Keane with his top off, crowd surfing
with his beard. No, I think I just they put on such a good show, and it always, for me, it's just been such a massive part of growing up, Like,
yeah.
I almost look at my life in like albums, that was where I was then, and I saw them at Slane Castle when Bono's dad had died, and that was massively amazing. A really funny thing with Slane Castle was they were playing one at the end, right? They often do one at the end. And the speakers, the local speakers for the village overrode, is that a word? Overrode the actual speakers from the gig.
Right.
So they were singing like, "One love, you higher, higher," you know, this emotional song. And I swear, with about a minute to go in the song, Bono's like, you know, singing, and he's looking up to the skies. And this voice goes, "When you're leaving Slane Castle, go left. Don't go through the village. The car parks have the buses." It was just, it was beautifully Irish. And I think that's what I love about U2 is they make so many Irish mistakes and the crack, you know?
Yeah, because they can look so cool and sometimes look like they take themselves pretty seriously, and then just stuff like that happens. I've never heard. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Did everyone kind of hear? Is it one of them things that you were like? Did everyone else hear that? That was.
Oh no,
funny.
people were
Who
like
you with?
cracking up. You know.
Yeah.
You know.
That is proper. I don't know if the pub will be open after this. No, I don't. You'll have to ask someone else. Steve, is the pub?
Yeah, some Welsh guys
That's
there as
brilliant.
well. Yeah. So.
Yeah. When did you get into U2? How old were you?
11. My mum had a cassette tape of, you might be too, I don't know how old are you, 40?
40. Bang on.
Yeah. There was a band called the Thompson Twins. I don't know if you remember them.
I've heard of them. I don't really remember
They had
them.
a song called Hold Me Now. They were proper new wave kind of stuff, you know. And then on the flip side of it, my mum had U2 War. It's like their third album. It had Sunday Bloody Sunday, New Year's Day on it. And I just, you know, and you got to remember, growing up in New Zealand, you know, you didn't know when an album was coming out, you know? Like, you'd go to the record shop and go, someone would go, "Oh, you know, they've got a new album out." And you'd be like, "What?" And it would have been out for like 3 or 4 weeks. You'd get magazines like NME, and they would be like 4 months late, you know,
Right.
like because of the, you know, the shipping and stuff like that, you know. So
Yeah.
I used to get football magazines, and players had moved like 3 or 4 clubs by the time I got them, you know. Not true, but I went for the joke. And so I just listened to that. And then one of my big memories was coming to England, and I got like a bootleg of them playing in Cork. That was a massive cassette that I listened to over and over, just flipping over and over. And then the Joshua Tree came out. My mum had people round at her house, and for like some kind of barbecue, and I put the Joshua Tree on, and I put the balance on the speakers to left, and I could only just listen. I had no headphones or anything, and I just listened to the Joshua Tree, starting with Where the Streets Have No Name, which is really quiet, you know. And yeah, I've just been very obsessive ever since, you know.
Yeah. That's a good description. I've got that where different albums. You look at it and go, oh yeah, I was about 22 when that came out. That was brilliant. And
And you sort of,
and then when you moved to London, how old were you when you moved to London?
like 22 or 23.
Yeah. So when you moved to London, it must, because in New Zealand, a lot of bands don't play in New Zealand as much, do they? Because of the amount it costs to go from Australia to New Zealand, and the venues are quite small. Like in New Zealand,
There's
like
there's more than 100 people in the country, but yeah, you're right. A lot of them.
Yeah, I know. But look, most bands. Someone told me this when I was in New Zealand. They were saying, yeah, not all the bands come here because it's just not worth it for them. It costs too much for them to get here, and you know. So it must have blew your mind though when you come to London and you can just, they're playing about 9 different venues. You can just go to all of them.
Yeah.
I remember that when I moved to London, because I grew up in Northampton, which I know it's not as far away as New Zealand, but it still felt like the middle of nowhere. There was no trains near where I lived. There was no bus service. I didn't see a live gig till I was 20.
Wow.
So, and then when I moved to London, and you can just go and see a band round the corner. I remember going to see Oasis at Elephant and Castle, the Coronet. They were doing a warm-up gig, and I just got tickets off a tout because I was like, I just went on my own.
Yeah.
Just got a gig on your own round the corner from where you live. It blew my mind. It was a night of the 2005 Liverpool Champions League final, and I remember someone saying, this sounds like a joke, but this is how thick I am. I said, who's the support band anyway? And they said, The Football. I said, what a fucking shit name for a band, The Football. They went, no, The Football, the Champions League.
Yeah.
So they showed the final before Oasis, and everyone is going, I don't care if Liverpool get hammered, just as long as it doesn't go extra time. It's 3-0. Yeah. I went to the bar, come back, it was 3-0. And everyone's going mental, going, fuck you. Everyone had forgot they were there to see Oasis. And then Liverpool won.
Yeah.
And the screen went up and Oasis walked on to You'll Never Walk Alone. And Noel Gallagher's opening line was fucking scouse cunts. And then started playing. Brilliant.
They were big then, though, weren't they?
That was 2005, so that was Don't Believe the Truth album. They were massive then, yeah. So they played Wembley that year. I went to see them at Wembley.
Yeah.
I think that year. No, Finsbury Park. I went to see them at... Don't Believe the Truth. That was a great album. But yeah, so that was you like that when you were in London, you just went and saw them everywhere?
Yeah, but they didn't... Like, you two have this tendency now to... It's like 3 or 4 years between albums, you know.
Yeah, annoying, isn't it?
I think they go for the whole perfectionist thing, when I think their fan base now, I think, would like to just see them throw something out, you know, or, you know, just do something that's not, it's got a few edges on it, not edge as edge, but, you know, like, they're very, very produced, you know, so they sort of probably have an album ready and then they go, you know, oh no, we'll get another mixer in and stuff like that. So that's been a bit disappointing, you know.
Yeah, I saw, have you watched that documentary? I mentioned it before. Bloody love it. What's it called? This Might Get Loud?
Oh, yes, with Jack White.
Jack White.
Yeah.
The Edge.
And Jimmy Page.
Yeah. And that, I'll admit, I've like I said, I've never disliked U2. I've just never got into them, really.
Yeah.
And that's made me like U2, watching that and watching The Edge. And I bloody loved him after that. And the how obsessive he is over guitar parts. I thought albums must take ages to make.
Yeah.
But and as well, that was the other thing. The problem I had was having like stage names. I always think that's a bit. And then I found out The Edge and Bono are childhood nicknames.
Yes,
that changes everything.
Yeah.
You're in a massive worldwide successful band and you've got a fucking stupid nickname from school. That makes me really like them.
Yeah, they were part of this thing called the Lipton Village, and they just had like made up names, and they just sort of kept them, you know. And I think even their mum and dad used to call them The Edge and stuff like that. You know, it was that kind of, you know, like Birdie or Knob Jockey, as you know, on the circuit, you know, and
we need to talk about that.
So I think I don't think that's helped them either. You know?
No, because I think people, like I did, I thought that they'd given themselves serious names, like they're really, really important, and take themselves serious. I had no idea it was completely the other way. They should explain that more often. So that's the fucking Edge. He's been called that in school.
Yeah.
People would like them a lot more.
Do you know what? I think if they'd sort of maybe add a few second thoughts on some of the things they've done, I think they could be even more massive. I'm genuine on that. I do think, I think you're right.
I think you're right.
Bono and the glasses, the edge in the hat.
Yeah.
You know, he wears a hat the whole time, never shows his bald head.
Yeah.
They've been such a massive part for me, and for a while there, they were very competitive, and they wanted to be the greatest band, the biggest band in the world. That was one of his big things, you know.
Yeah.
And I think the big thing for them now is just to stay relevant. You know.
Yeah.
I think they'll probably ask themselves now, like, right, 2021, does the world need a new U2 album? Rather than just putting one out, you know?
It's a harsh start to a meeting, isn't it? Right. Do the world need a new U2 album?
Yeah, but...
Can you take your hat off?
Yeah. But... yeah.
Do you think they need do you think there should be a new album?
You see, I listen to their... I've got, like, rehearsal bootlegs, you know, like, from the studio, where they're just like, banging a song out.
Yeah, I love all that.
Yeah. But that's probably for the 10% of the fans, you know? So if you're thinking... I think the last few albums have been fantastic, you know? But, you know, obviously with Spotify and everything, all sales of stuff goes down anyway, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, they're just not... And they're too far down the line to really reinvent themselves, which I think they've done very well. That's something I would say with Oasis probably have never done, is they're probably, you know, meat and two veg, aren't they? They just bang what they've got out, and it's good.
Yeah, kind of, but you can imagine it'd be a bit harder to have that conversation with Liam. But I can imagine Bono, you know, giving it a go. Like, I remember that they did it then, sort of with what's that song called? It's a Beautiful Day.
Yeah.
That one. That was 2000.
Yeah.
Yeah, that album was massive. I remember that. They sort of reinvented themselves a bit, sort of there, and they were huge then. I remember that's another reason I didn't like U2 for a while, and it's not their fault. That's all on me. You know, when you don't like a band and it's all your own personal problems. I was working in a factory.
Yeah.
Doing 10 hours. I wanted to move to London and be a comedian, and it was miserable in a factory all day, and that song was on every 5 minutes. It's a beautiful day. I was like, fuck off, Bono, it's not. I've got another 7 hours in this pissing factory. I'm sure you're happy.
And you had the protective glasses on like Bono.
Yeah, that's what hurt the most.
I think fan. Yeah, you're absolutely right, and that was the start of them going a bit kind of like rock, like they'd sort of done like Achtung Baby and pop, and they were quite experimental albums. You know, Achtung Baby's an amazing album, and yeah, then they did All That You Can't Leave Behind, How to Dismantle Atomic Bomb, and all. You know, it was, you know, it had the Vertigo, had Beautiful Day, Stuck in a Moment, Elevation. It was proper what I think people thought U2 should be doing, you know.
Yeah.
But
right.
But you look at a band like REM, they just sort of stopped at a certain point. They went, "That's it. That's all we can do."
I love that.
Yeah, so do I.
I kind of respect them for that. They just went, right. Should we? Yeah, right.
Yeah, and I actually,
not many bands do that.
And Stipe was like, "Yeah, I'll go over there," and they go, "What's wrong with him?" He goes, "That's him in the corner." No, I I do respect that, and I wouldn't be surprised. And I don't know if I'd be that disappointed if you two went, that's it, we're done now.
Yeah, because you've got all the albums you need to remember them fondly. But like I said, I like them now. I know that The Edge is a nickname from school. I respect them now for that.
Yeah.
But I'm not like massively into U2, and I feel I should be more. What album should I start with? Give me an album that you think, right, we'll just start there, give that a proper listen, and that will draw you into all the others. What album? If you were going to put a U2 on an album now, what would you put on now?
Am I talking to Andrew Bird, or am I talking to an everyday person that hasn't listened to them?
Me. Go me.
I think you'd really like Achtung Baby.
All right, it's not what I thought you'd say. I thought you'd go bang Joshua Tree, but
Or
all right.
Yeah, I mean they're the two biggies, aren't they? Joshua Tree, but
all right.
But the problem with, again, Joshua Tree, Achtung Baby is you've heard 5 or 6 of those songs because they've just been hammered on the radio, you know.
Yeah. But that's why I like to see. I want to hear the album track, see what else they've got.
What about you
Achtung Baby
with Oasis then? What do you think I should listen to?
Everyone would say definitely maybe as the first, but I wouldn't. I would always go, what's the story?
So would I.
But then, after that, an album that I don't think gets enough credit for how good it was. I just mentioned a while ago, Don't Believe the Truth. Everyone goes, yeah, after What's the Story, they didn't release a good album after that. So fuck it. Have you heard Don't Believe the Truth? There's not one bad track on that. It's a brilliant album, and people forget that they'd released about 10 B-sides that not only could have been on the album, could have been singles.
Yeah.
With those two out. They released 4 albums worth of music in the first two albums. So you deserve a bit of a dry spell after that once you're off your tits on coke and a multi-millionaire. But I'd go Don't Believe the Truth. Go for that first. Bit different.
Name a song from that.
Well, there's Lila. A Bell Will Ring. That's brilliant.
Oh, it's not that album. I tried the album. Do you know what? I'll go back in.
Right, you pop yourself in there.
Yeah.
I'm going to pop through the old Achtung Baby door.
Yeah.
See you on the other side. Hey, Al,
Yeah.
thanks for coming on and talking about music in a humorous way.
Oh, was it humorous?
Yeah, I saw some of it was humorous.
Okay, cool.
No
Sometimes
great pressure to be funny. It's just a chat about music, isn't it?
No, but sometimes it's like when you do interviews and you're supposed to be a comedian and be funny and you end up being really passionate about it. And sometimes that comes off really nicely and it's a good listen. But then other times I'm like, am I just a boring twat? You know, which I probably am. I like the pause there. But
well, I've had those conflicting voices in my head throughout all of this and everyone I've done. But, then there's enough podcasts with everyone laughing their tits off at each other like they're the funniest person on the planet.
whoa.
There's enough of them. We don't need to do that.
No, and we definitely haven't done that. So, yeah, it's been
No,
great.
we've not done that. Yeah. Did I hear birds tweeting in the background? I'm sure. You got a window open?
Well, that's not going to harm the listener, is it?
No. I'm not that picky of a sound. I thought it added a lovely ambience during
It was a sound effect.
Have
mate.
you? Have you got a window open?
It's a sound effect.
So for this podcast, you went with a slow bird sound effect.
Yeah, for birdie.
Imagine if you did that. Imagine if you did that on a podcast. Just put an annoyed sound effect on throughout the whole thing.
We live quite close to a bird sanctuary.
Do you really?
No, just a bird outside taking a shit, I think.
a bird taking a shit. The way you said that makes it sound like a bird hunking over like a dog on a tree. That's not how birds shit. A bird taking a shit.
Well, have you seen a swan take a shit?
Of a what?
Have you seen a swan take a shit?
No, I really had to think about that. I don't think I have.
Me neither.
Oh.
No, they don't just fly off and shit. They sit and have a dump, don't they?
Yeah, I reckon at that size they probably do. Oh, yeah. Well, I hope you enjoyed the music-based podcast. Al, thank you very much for doing it.
Yeah, it's good, man. It's nice. There's no. What I like about it is you just chat about anything and everything. It's great.
A podcast from producer Paul.co.uk.